Orthotic Chips here, Chiappetta shoes. This is Workshop Live. Today we have an A6 foot type, custom orthotic. We've got 2 pairs, doing pretty well for a while, but we're training kind of doing 5Ks. She's got a big hiking event coming up, and we've had some plantar fasciitis, heel spur pain on the bottom of the foot. General every day is around a 2 out of 10, but when she's doing her hiking and her exercising, it's really spiking up. She's getting 8+. We don't like that. We have great tools for her to not have that problem. So we have a nice little solution, existing orthotic. She's had this for, I think, about a year plus now. Again, did pretty well for a while. We have a met pad, arch bar, and a little heel cushion on the bottom there. The materials overall, they've got some good wear and tear, maybe about 10 to 15% compression, not too bad. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do a little rejuvenation and a little bit different modification profile. A6 foot type, we have a small forefoot valgus, a small rear foot varus, a lot of rigidity in the system. When we look at this foot type, she's narrow. She's got a nice narrow gait. She's heavy and hard on the heel. She's not heavy by any means, but she's hard on that heel. And when she's taking a step, when you look at the arch, when you hear A foot type, you think high arch. She looks like she's got a medium low arch, actually. But mechanics are the mechanics. We have an A6 foot type, hard on the heel. She went and saw a doc. She said there's significant heel spur issues going on. So we have a couple different modification profiles that we can do. Looking at the top down, we have 2 sets of orthotics, and both are what we consider like a standard set here. We have an existing met pad, arch bar, and 2 mil Horon. We're gonna take this off and we're gonna do a nice new modification profile. Let me get this going real quick here. And we're gonna go over to the grinding machine. We're gonna clean this off, and then we're gonna start up. So, okay, so A6 foot type. We have a set of orthotics. They are 2 years oldish. I want to say this is a little older, this is a little newer. We had a met pad plus arch bar with 2 millimeters of a polyurethane Horon material. Now, what I want to do today, because we have a significant heel spur, sometimes we can do essentially a cutout to let that bone drop down a little bit more. Because she's active and she's doing some training, we're just gonna go with still a straight heel pad, but we're gonna go with this material here. That's EcoCell High Rebound. It's one of my favorite polyurethanes to use whenever we're trying to help athletes or people that are exercising heavily with some extra shock absorption and cushioning. The High Rebound material, this green stuff here, works excellent for heel pads. It can work for modifications within the midfoot and the forefoot too. It only comes in the 3mm or 1/8" material, so you got to be selective in how you're using it. And it is still pretty versatile because it has such a firm rebound. It works nicely. Now, the piece that we had on there before, it was a little wider in the arch bar space. I've got this a touch narrower, so we have a little bit more dialed in focus to this midfoot modification profile, okay? And the one wiggle that we're gonna do, this is gonna be a 2-step phase. So this essentially is kind of working with what we had on there before. I would say probably a little bit more dialed in from the shape standpoint, but definitely going to be still something that is similar to what she had before. The one wrinkle that we're going to have on this is once we get this added, we are going to do an additional heel bar. Now we're going to go across this section right here, and we're going to create essentially a harness. Heel bar, when we're doing a arch bar metatarsal, that's sitting right here. The heel bar is something that hits right at the distal end of the calcaneus. So we're going to wrap it like that. And that really helps take a lot of pressure off that heel spur section by offloading. So we're going to have better support in the midfoot, better cushioning in the rear foot, and then extra support right past here to help offload that area. So that's the thought process. We're gonna get our glues on, and as much as I would love to do less steps, this process here, to do it the right way, especially for somebody that's doing some training and exercising, we wanna make sure this is gonna work for a lot of pounding of the feet. So we're gonna get this glued up here. These materials are all glued up already. We're gonna take a quick little break and then get that second layer done there. So, get that glued up. Okay. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. We are back, baby. This is a Workshop Live, A6 foot type, heel spur, pounding the bejesus out of our heels, training, doing a long hike up in the fall time, something like that. And just saw our doctor, said clear evidence, bad heel spurs going on. So, custom orthotic, take your top down, kind of doing something similar to what we had in the past, but one new wrinkle with the new set that we got going on. So we are going to create a heel bar. And with this process, it's usually pretty successful. You got to be careful, especially for people that are exercising heavily. They've got a lot of motion on their feet. When you do a heel bar, you're essentially hitting that distal end of the calcaneus, the heel bone. You could be contacting the cuboid, so you got to consider if we're wrapping, which we're going to. If we're going to wrap up against the side, you want to get close to right where that cuboid bone sits. And then we're also considering there is a little bit of a navicular factor to that area too. So, one main difference with the heel pad that we're adding, before we just had a 2 millimeter sport pour-on material by Rogers Corp. Good stuff, really good stuff. We use it in a lot of our custom orthotics. Not all, but a lot. And this is EcoCell High Rebound by Acor. Big fan of that stuff. It's one of the newer products they came out with. EcoCell was kind of in response to Acor having issues getting polyurethanes 3 or 4 years ago or so. And I've been very happy with it. They do make a direct sport pour-on replacement. I still like my pour-on material. So I buy all of it because, as a manufacturer, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. So, okay. So we have these new materials here. If you saw it from before, the arch bar on the old one was a little wide. I got that narrower, which can kind of fine-tune that midfoot pressure there. We're going to take this to the grinder, and then we're going to apply this heel bar as well. So. Okay. So, new modification, essentially the same shape as what we had on there before. We have Met Pad Arch Bar heel cushion. Heel cushion is a little thicker, really high, nice rebound material. You could do a donut cutout when there's a significant heel spur. I like this a little bit better in her case because she's highly active and we want that heel cushioning. Now, here's the new wrinkle. We're gonna do a heel bar. And this is something that's going across the foot, and it's really going to help offload that pressure because we have this extra cushioning in the heel. We're really going to help offload that spot. Now you see there's kind of like a little, almost like a depression zone. We're filling that up, and I'm using deliberately a little firmer material. This is a 65 durometer JMS cork. You've seen me use this plenty of times. Sometimes, a lot of times I'll like using it as one of the core support materials. And with what I'm doing here, we're gonna wrap up against the side. We're gonna essentially create a navicular bump and a cuboid bump. And you know, she's an A6 foot type, more rigidity in the system. Her foot doesn't have a lot of pronation, but there is a fair amount of, just looks like a medium low arch. And you know, when you see a foot like this move, people that don't know what they're doing, oh yeah, you got a medium low arch, you got a low arch. No, there's actually a lot of rigidity in the system. She's pounding the body. And one of the things, any of you physical therapists out there, if any of you are watching, would like to know, you watch abduction versus adduction. If they're a narrower gait, they're going to be an A or a B foot type. Okay? A or B foot type. And that tells you what the forefoot is doing, and that is a forefoot valgus. Nice and narrow and even. So you have your feet that abduct a lot are turning way to the outside. You're going to have a forefoot varus. So there's a lot of mobility in that midfoot joint range right here where the metatarsals meet the midfoot. Forefoot varus, forefoot valgus. A and B, forefoot valgus. Middle of the road, C and D's, nice and neutral-ish. Any feet that are splaying a lot are going to be a forefoot valgus alignment, or varus alignment. So there you go. All right, we got the glue on, we got our heel bar going on in a sec. Great materials, JMS 65 durometer cork, really nice stuff. We're gonna take one quick more break and we'll be right back. All right, folks, we're back. We got our heel bars going on, which kind of wraps into a cuboid and a navicular bump as well. We're going to want to heat up this cork real nice, because we want it to wrap really well. Closed cell materials are more heat moldable versus like open cell rubbers and polyurethanes. So whenever we're doing a wrap, we typically usually want to use a closed cell material because it just gets a better bond on the side of the orthotic and the wall. Sometimes this is an open cell rubber and cork compound. Sometimes we'll use cushion cork, but a lot of times we'll use different multi-corks like this. All right. Want to get that pushed down nicely while it's warm. There. Excellent. So see, we're really holding that heel in place. The sidewall support is important in this case. Because we have an A6 foot type, her foot is not supinating all that much, but she's got a narrow gait and she does feel like she turns to the outside. So that is going to help with that. Sometimes we'll shave down the medial wall flat, but I want to see how this does by really cupping that heel bone, both medial and lateral side of the face. Okay, almost done, folks. Take it to the grinder. That's what I like to see. Okay. Last step, give a quick little cleanup with some acetone. A little love in here. They're about 2 years old. They're in pretty good shape. We guarantee our orthotics for 3 years. We build them to last anywhere from 3 to 7 depending on each customer's situation. And all right. We'll give a quick recap in 2 seconds. That nice heat on there. Repuff the foam up a little bit. Perfect. All right. Workshop Live, A6 foot type, heel spur, a lot of activity, training for a long hike this late fall time. We have a Met Pad arch bar, 3mm EcoCell high rebound cushion with an arch bar, a heel bar down this section here, wrapping both medial and lateral, really cupping that area with that extra cushion. Should give her a nice depression zone to sit into. That's been a Workshop Live for you folks. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any foot frame, make sure to check us out. Ain't no better than Chiappetta. Ciao.